I'm doing the same thing, keeping my body fit, exercising every day, obviously meditating every day, doing my yoga, I have a friend that has a private gym. I hit there 5 days a week.
Oh, go on, Rev.
So, everything you're saying is the life that I live and try to elevate people into. And I love what you're saying, that during this time, you're focusing on your introspection. You're focusing on your body temple, your mental body, your emotional body. And like you, though I'm a minister, Reverend, founder of Agape, I'm not religious either. I'm spiritual. I have a deep connection with the presence of God that's beyond religion. That's why we call it trans-denominational. It goes beyond denomination, beyond religions. It goes right to the source. So you're speaking my language. Let me ask you this, though, something that I really appreciated that you did. I was watching your stand-up routine a number of months ago, and you actually were doing a whole routine about how you had to get your kids ready to go outside in case they were stopped by the police. And
Absolutely.
It was comedy, but it was real.
Yeah.
You said something like, "Yeah, I felt like I was training a runaway slave."
Like an old slave that didn't know he had his freedom.
Right. Break that down a little bit. People need to see that stand up, because one of the things that comedians get to do is they get to take real issues. And sometimes people don't want to be preached at or beat over the head about it, but you get to sneak it in that this is the way we have to live our life.
Because it was a real conversation that I had to have with my children. And it's a shame that I have to have these conversations with my children, because I think it's important. See, there's two sides of what's going on. And I think as citizens, maybe we can be a little more respectful here. And, when it comes to, it needs more legislation. This is a very serious issue. We need legislation. I need to know, what am I supposed to do so I don't get choked out? I need to know, what are my rights? Like, we need to know what those rights are. They need to get rid of the chokehold. They find new ways to choke people. Soon it's going to be that Darth Vader thing where they just do this from afar and choke you out. So we have to get those things in place, because I had to equip my children and have these talks with them about how to respond when they get pulled over. It's not to yell and bark at them. It's, yes sir, no sir. And I said, I tell them to be all humble and meek. I felt like a old slave that didn't know he had his freedom. Don't you look him in the eyes. You say, yes sir, no sir. You need anything, sir? You want to shine your shoes, sir? And we shouldn't be like that. And we shouldn't feel that way. And here's the thing. I think the problem lays beyond even the police and the uniforms. The real uniforms that we need to talk to is those suits in Washington, and get some laws and get some legislation put together, because the police represent and enforce the laws that the lawmakers make. So we need to go, forget the blue suits. We need to go sit down with the suits in Washington, and we need to get them to get some fair legislation put together so that we are protected. Understand, when they did the Declaration of Independence, the Jackson they had at a table wasn't a black man. We have no representation at that table. So we need to rewrite some of those laws and those constitutions that are inclusive of us.
We were labeled 3/5 of a man at that time.
Exactly.
We had to have an amendment to actually be a full person according to our own constitution.
Wow.
But I appreciate what you're saying.
And it's messed up, because 2/5 of that was probably, I can't say it because I'm on the phone with you, but go ahead.
This is an adult conversation.
Yeah, I got it. I went there and I was like, I'm on the phone with Reverend.
I know what you were going to say. Never mind. For those of you who are telepathic, you got that. but you're dealing with it on two levels. Like, one, there's racism. Racism is how you feel about me, and justice is how you treat me. Right. And so racism is, that lie that black people are inferior, or brown people are inferior to white people, or that we're less than. And then justice is how we've been treated. Because as I said at Agape, justice is supposed to be blind, but justice peaks. And then whenever a brown person or a black person or a poor person is sitting in the defendant's seat, justice peaks and says, oh, you're going to get a different kind of justice than the guy that just walked in that has a lot of money, that's white. Two different kind of justice, maybe for the same crime.
Right.
So
it's the same thing when they pull us over. It's
right.
that same eye that we get looked at. It's the same thing. And that's why, you know, I think it's important that we really are become equal in those law books, and then, you know, in society. I think we need better to raise our communities, and we need to invest in those. They've taken out all the after school programs. They're trying to raise criminals. And I went back to my old neighborhood, and even me as a celebrity, I think we need to do better. You know, forget the chain that you buying. Why are you buying that expensive chain? Forget that expensive. You got 10 cars. How many asses do you got? Instead of taking that money and buying that, I took a bunch of money and I went back to my projects and I rebuilt their gym, because those kids need a place to stay. They need a place to keep them off the streets. That gym kept me out of trouble. They was about to knock it down.
Right.
I went back. I rebuilt that gym. I could have had a dope car. I could have been in a Rolls Royce instead of a Tesla. But I said, let me save some lives, because that's reinvesting, and I'm not making no money off that. I'm not making nothing. But you know what? God takes care of me, and as long as I'm a soldier for Him, I'm gonna be all right.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're in a Tesla, because that's also helping our environment as well. So
yeah, man. See, I'm a righteous man.
But you know, you're speaking. We're covering a lot of issues here, but I can remember when my mother had to talk with me. You know, and it's a shame that we're still having to talk. We just had my daughter and my son just had to talk with my grandkids, and my youngest grandson was shocked to find out that my son had been arrested riding his bicycle in my neighborhood. You know, and he wasn't even doing anything. They said he fit the profile of somebody that was doing a burglary.
Don't we all?
I'm on a bicycle. I'm on a 10-speed bicycle. I can't carry a TV. I can't carry. What do you mean? What am I burglarizing? You know.
Come on. There's the brother that got shot in Georgia. He was just jogging. You can't even jog anymore. But that's why we have to get this remedied once and for all. We've been screaming about what we gonna do and what we want to do, but everybody needs to be active, and it's not about today. You know, when they did the civil rights movement back in the day, they were relentless. They didn't stop until they saw change. We get happy for 5 days and then we think we did something. No.
Right. No,
we gotta keep on going until we see change.
Yeah. As I said, it's not a sprint. It's not a marathon. It's a way of life. It's how we live our life. How we, you know, not only do Black lives matter, Black money matters. You know, how we spend our money. I just read an article that they shut down that crab house in DC or Baltimore, one of the places, when they found out that the owner had made some kind of racist comment on Facebook. They shut it down in one day at 5 outlets. Shut down. You know, that's economics. You know, so we have to deal with not only immediate justice, but we have to deal with reform. And how you deal with reform is, as you're saying, people have to vote. They have to have right legislation by the people who put in office. And then we also have to have some kind of strategy around our money. There has to be some kind of strategy as where we're spending our money, how we're spending it.
But we need to be educated.
Or do we have to spend it all the time?
We need financial literacy.
Absolutely.
We need programs that help us with financial literacy. These young brothers get money. You know, you lose $1 million before you learn you gotta keep that. That it ain't gonna keep coming. You know, a lot of brothers, ask them, I lost my first money. A lot of brothers will tell you, I lost my first money. Thank God I could do it again, because we don't have financial literacy, and we're not educated properly. We don't go to these private schools. We don't it's not like you're starting a race on at the same starting line. No, they got a head start. We're 400 years back. And what we have to do is we have to create these programs that really help us, and it takes Black people to do this as well. I'm really proud of a lot of white people and their maturity, because the beauty of this movement versus back in the day, it wasn't us against them. The us against them has shifted. And I look back, I'm doing the Black Lives Matter marches, and I'm looking next to me and I'm seeing white people scream out the same things that I'm yelling.
Right. Absolutely.
And now it makes our voice louder. And now that
totally
megaphone is a speaker. And now we need to use this. It is totally different. And we need to use this to make change. It has to have change now.
Absolutely. It's not like it used to be. Now, that's why I call this time of apocalypse, lifting the veil. Things that were hidden can now be seen. So now our white brothers and sisters are actually hearing, seeing, because we have video cameras, hearing and seeing and actually saying, wow, you guys have been going through this the whole time. This is how you've been living your life. And they're coming to an understanding that not just to be allies, we're to be together in building a kind and just global society. We're to be together in building a beloved community. It's not just for Black people; it's for all of us.
Right. It's the human rights, and you know they oftentimes forget because of your color of your skin that you don't not supposed to have human rights. And this is everything that we're doing. This is for humanity. It's not about Black and white, and it's not even about not. I have friends that are cops. Not every cop is a bad cop. I don't want people to become racist against people in blue uniforms, because when they take off those uniforms, they got to go home to their families. I got friends, dear friends for 20 years. One of my friends is the chief of police in New York, a great guy. He's a Black man, a brother, and I actually put him up on my Instagram. He quelled a situation that was getting ridiculous, and he understands because he comes from the streets, so he knows how to deal with those people, with angry people. So he diffused situations. But I know Jeff. But if you didn't know Jeff, you would hate Jeff just because he's in uniform, and that makes you prejudiced. So let's not be that either, and understand that the police are part of the problem, but they're not the complete enemy. The police represent the government, so we need to attack the government, the people in suits, the lawmakers, and then they need to tell the police new directives.
Right. No, I'm in absolute agreement with you. I have dear friends that go to Agape that are officers. I have some during the time when we were meeting, they were there for safety and protection for us.
Absolutely.
They're very spiritual people. So you have a combination of those that were hired who were ignorant and sick and racist. And then you have those that are hired that do things that don't get reprimanded, that are able to stay on the force for long periods of time, even though they have a lot of infractions on their record. So as you're talking about this, we're talking about
the police need to be policed too. Right.
Yeah,
and the police need to be policed too.
Yeah, this is policy change.
They have a hard job, knowing who's your life is on the line. Nobody has, it's all about having empathy. We all have to have empathy for each other's situation, even their situation. That is a tough job. And every day you're putting your life on the line. I don't know if you do this. I know you was reaching for gun. I know I'm in a hostile situation. A lot of cops get killed too. So I get it's a hard job, but I think the best people needed better training in order to do their job correctly. And that if you take a life unjustly, you gotta pay the piper.
You gotta pay for that.
Get a free pass.
Just like you would if you took a life. Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there has to be hiring. You gotta hire the right people that are not psychologically damaged. You have to train them so that they're sensitive to the community that they're going to police, sensitive. And then you have to definitely have the policies where we eliminate the chokehold, we eliminate certain raising. They did a study and they showed that when a female police officer arrives on the scene, they begin to de-escalate the energy. And when a man arrives on the scene, the energy goes up. That alpha thing comes out, and they want to dominate the person, which is a citizen. We're talking citizens. And so we have to discover what is it that female has.
Right.
What is that dynamic of empathy that you mentioned, or that can de-escalate, so that everything doesn't just get ratcheted up all the time. And then you combine that with the fact that many Black people are afraid of police. So you combine that fear with the...
But sometimes, let's not forget, sometimes they save our lives. They are heroes. Absolutely. They solve crimes. It's like, it's finding that balance.
It is finding that balance. I'll tell you a story.
Checking ourselves and not being, I don't want us to become racist as well in terms of against blues. There's there's bad white people, there's bad blue people, there's bad Black people. And a butthole is a butthole, no matter what you need. So let
me tell you something. Let me tell you a story of a day that I was so happy to see the police. I was on Wilshire. I was on La Brea and Wilshire. and there was a young black man walking down the street, minding his own business, had his books in his hands, and then this gang started following him and asking him what set he was in. And you could tell this brother had nothing to do with gangs. He's sitting there with his books, you know, he's a sweet nerd guy. And he said, I'm not involved. And they said, they knocked his books out of his hand, and it was about 3 or 4 of them. What set you in? What set you in? And he wasn't in a set. And it was about to get very violent. And I was at a red light. And I said, oh my God, okay. If today's the day I die, today's the day I die. I got in my car and I started to run to help him before I could get there. Plainclothes police officers showed up just from, I don't know where they came from. They just showed up and handled the situation. There was a guy sitting on the street selling pencils like a homeless guy. He was a police officer. He rose up, took his badge out, and man, I was so happy to see those police.
You know where that came from,
I was about to get my butt beat or killed, you know?
You know where that came from? God loves you. And all you have to do is go, oh, God, help me. And he just sent reinforcements out of nowhere. Homeless guy turned into a cop. God loves you.
I'm telling you, I didn't see him before that moment, and all of a sudden they were there. I know that was the presence of God just bringing what I needed, because there was no way I was going to get that.
As an individual, check yourself. Are you being the best human that you can be, even in your colors? Really check yourself. Whether you blue, whether you red, are you being a good human being? Like, we can't point fingers at others. Let's hold mirrors up to ourselves and go, how do we as individuals be better? And then let's put that collective effort together to go make the world better. And that's what needs to be done. Yep.
And I think, going back to the beginning of this conversation, that's what this quarantine situation can do. Make us become introspective, look at ourselves, see where we need to change. Don't lie to ourselves. We look in the mirror, see what needs to be changed. What lie are you telling about yourself? Is it lack of self-esteem, lack of self-worth? What lie are you saying about someone else? And own your stuff and then radically change it. You know, this is what meditation is all about. It's what prayer is all about. What study is all about. What fellowship is all about. You know, changing your mindset so that your mindset and your heart set matches your desire, as you're saying, to be a better version of yourself. So when we come out of this, we're all better people.
Yep. Happy's a choice. And you can't, everybody, oftentimes, you know, we get in these situations where we're trying to fix people. We're trying to save people and rescue people from themselves. You can't do that. No. That individual has to rescue themselves, and you have to rescue you. And once you can't put your issues and problems on other people. That is not fair. You need to deal with you and then bring your best person to the best person. And that's maturity. I don't give people my nonsense. I don't care what I go through in my life. I don't give people my issues. I deal with my issues, and I keep a smile, and I'm in charge of my universe in terms of who's around me. If I'm negative and I'm on set, I've made the whole set feel bad. I'm responsible for a lot of people's feelings. So if I feel a certain way, I'm conscious about who's around me. I'm not going to give that to my kids. I'm not going to give that to their mom. I'm not going to give that to my brothers or my sisters or my mom. No, if I'm dealing with something, I'm going to deal with it. But I'm always going to give them my best me. It's not fair to take my vibe and make it a cloud for everybody.
Right.
Everyone keep my cloud over my head when I need it.
Absolutely. Everyone has to take responsibility for themselves, and they have to participate in their own unfolding, because no one can do it for them. We can give you the principles, the practices, but you got to do it. You have to do it. You know, you have to lift those weights if you're going to develop that body temple.
Nobody wants to do the work.
That nutrition you're going to develop. You're going to have to study that book. You're going to have to meditate. You're going to have to pray. Somebody can't do that for you. Total responsibility. Absolutely.
It's funny because people talk about the work, but nobody want to do it. And people talk about, like, how do you get successful? You know, it's the mind state of trying to be better and doing the work and being determined to get the work done and never turning back and never accepting failure. Failure is when I quit trying. Those are the key elements to success. And if I could do that as a person, then I could do that in my business. I could do that in relationships. I can do that in anything in my life. I could move mountains as an individual because I make the choices to be successful internally.
Absolutely. And you come from a great dynasty We love you. We love your family. You bring a
Thank
lot
you,
of
man.
joy, a lot of inspiration. You guys have been a shining example of a family and successful family. And we were so happy to see you guys on TV back in the day together too.
Oh, we're gonna do it again.
Wasn't a lot of black people on TV, you know.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
You guys broke through some barriers.
Well, that was Keenan. Keenan and Damon deserve a lot of credit, and my sister Kim.
Yeah, right.
They're trailblazers, and not just for me and my brother Sean, but I think they're trailblazers for all of us that dream to be somebody for a whole generation. And I'm just happy I grew up in the house with my legends. You know what I mean?
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.